Welcome back. All right, so news of the day for your September 9th. Some interesting stuff out there today. So there's some discussion still about the Olympics. So we're already talking about here's your Olympic teams. I did Sweden and Finland yesterday. I'm going to get on with the U.S. and Canada. Try to speculate on Russia because sure, Russia will have to look at who was on the team last time out and all that stuff too. But yeah, so the wonderful thing about it is we can all speculate on it, and then the tragic side of it is it still may not happen. So one thing that's being said internally with the NHL is that there's the possibility that we see games canceled or postponed. We saw that last season too, right? And so it's possible that we see games postponed and moved around. Well, you've got this 3-week break for the Olympics, and you've got a drop dead date of April 29th for the last day of the year. The season has to be over by April 29th because they want to make sure that they're not pushing back next season into November to start and all that. They want to get onto the regular schedule, right, and stay on it. So they have until January 10th where they can back out without any penalty, where they can just say, we're not going. And of course, between now and then, that means that it behooves the players to make sure those games get played, and that there is no concern about any of that. And there are other things that could trigger the NHL saying we're not going to the Olympics. But while it looks like it's 100% certain, it's really not. Because again, for the NHL, for their owners, for them, their concern is we have to get a regular season done, and we have to make sure that we get things back on track. So if the Olympics get in the way of that, which if you've listened to Bettman talk about it at any point, he is not a big proponent of going to the Olympics. So if it's seen that their schedule's kind of tenuous and this is going to be a difficult season to get in under the wire by April 29th, then we may very well see that 3-week period that's right now scheduled to have no games suddenly have some games in there. So we'll see what happens. It is a tight schedule. There are a lot of teams playing 3 games in 4 nights often. And so, yeah, they need to get these games in, or we may very well see the Olympics go by the wayside. David Backes today signs a 1-day contract with the St. Louis Blues so he can retire as a St. Louis Blue. Good story, and good for him, and good for the Blues as well. Backes had a good long career, and at some point I'll do a career video on him. There are other career videos that I'm thinking about doing based on other names on the board, but Backes is definitely there. The NHL has come out and said that the investigation into Evander Kane has kind of slowed down. So this is kind of how this works. So the accusation was out there that he was betting on NHL games. And that is major. That if he was betting on NHL games, that is a major accusation that was made by his then wife, soon to be ex-wife. The NHL has been unable to interview her. So if they can't interview her, the investigation doesn't go anywhere. Because odds are they're not going to have any other way of finding the information that she may have, and again, that we'll see what happens, right? Because if she refuses to be interviewed, then the whole thing just stops. So, if you're going to make that accusation publicly, you know what that's going to do. You should probably be willing to be interviewed about it when the league comes calling and says, so what's going on here? What do you have? What evidence do you have? Could be a phone number. It could be anything. And at this point, it hasn't happened. So it's really slowed down the investigation. They wanted to get it done by training camp. And right now, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So it may just be another one of those investigations that just Kaiser Soze's right out of existence. So we'll see. The U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame has announced their inductions for this year. Paul Holmgren, Peter McNabb, and Stan Fischler. And I saw that and I went, wait, Stan Fischler hasn't been inducted into the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame yet? I find that odd. But they're righting a wrong there. Peter McNabb was a player I liked a lot in the 80s. Like I said, there's some career video material to be had on here. McNabb I really enjoyed watching. And Paul Holmgren, who was a pretty good player, and then, of course, he's better known to the younger generation now as having been general manager of the Philadelphia Flyers. And so there may very well be a career video there as well. So, yeah, U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. I don't think we're that far out from hearing about the Hockey Hall of Fame inductions. Of course, they didn't induct anybody last year, which drove me a little bit crazy because we already have players backed up who aren't in the Hall who should be, and now we're going to have more. So we'll see what happens when the Hockey Hall of Fame comes out and announces. Unless they double the class, which I think they should, but I'm not betting on it. I also want to mention in here as well. And we're 393 subs from 216,000. So gained over 100 subs yesterday after putting that on the board, so it works. And remember that it worked before too. But I want to talk about the circular trade rumor mill, as I call it. And it's something that I try not to get into. So I don't get into a lot of the trade rumors because they are exactly circular. And here's the thing. So there's the PK Subban rumor, right, about the Bruins and the Leafs. But there's a report on the Hockey News which references another report. And when I read that first report, that report almost entirely sounds like speculation, and even says in there's absolutely zero pressure on Tom Fitzgerald to trade PK Subban. He has no reason to move that contract right now. And that any team picking up Subban will probably want the New Jersey Devils to eat half the contract, and the Devils don't have any reason to do that. So even in the main article talking about it, it goes, well, not right now anyways, but hey. So I don't report on that stuff because I see it all the time, and I'll see like, well, there's 3 different sources reporting on this. So again, I go and look, and I go, actually there's one, and the other 2 are repeating it. So that's where it's not 3 different sources, it's one source. And when you check that first source, and it is speculation, and the feeling is that this general manager needs to make a move. So clearly this is the player who needs to go. And that's a slippery slope, because then we as fans, we've done this forever. I way before I had a channel, I would say, it looks like the Canucks are probably going to have to move this guy. Looks like, I watched the Bruins game tonight. This guy's just done. I don't know why they don't trade him. But now that I have a channel, if I did that, it would be, Shannon's saying that they should trade that guy. I wonder if he's getting traded. And then on goes the speculation. So, and at this point in the off season, when it is slowish, you just have Bacchus, and like I have here the Olympic video, or Olympic participation discussion, as well as the Kane in interview stuff that's not happening with his soon-to-be ex. If you can get a trade rumor out there, odds are it's going to get a lot of clicks, it's going to get a lot of traction, it's going to get a lot of interest. But I don't do that. So again, if I'm going to report on something, it has to be from one of my main sources of information, which would be mainly the guys on Sportsnet, TSN, the reporters who've been right before, the reporters who have gotten it right before. Kevin Weeks has been, breaking things here and there as well. So yeah, I mean, until it's in that sphere, I take it all with a grain of salt, and it doesn't end up in a video. So yeah, there you go. I just wanted to throw that in here because, again, it is that time of year where there will be a lot of rumors of who might get traded and could get traded. And again, when it's maybe this guy's going, and well, 6 months ago this team called about that guy, we as fans always kind of want to know exactly who's being dealt, who's not, and what GM's calling which GM. I don't think we have any idea how many phone calls take place between GMs on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis, and how often a GM may just put feelers out there, calling a guy up and going, hey, so is this guy available? And they may get a yes, they may get a no, and we may never know about the conversation. So it is kind of a fun idea to have that information, but it's rare that we know about deals well in advance of them taking place. A lot of the trades that have taken place this summer, a lot of the free agent signings this summer weren't ones that were rumored ahead of time. They just happened. And that's quite common as well. So yeah, it does end up being kind of circular, and it is one of those things that I try my best to stay away from. But there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.